Hi, I'm George Foreman. Do you have an idea for a new product or invention? People ask me all the time, George, how do I get my idea in front of companies? How do I get a patent? What do I do next? I'll tell you like I'll tell them all. Call my friends at InventHelp.
Call InventHelp today for free information. InventHelp can submit your invention to companies who are interested in receiving new ideas. Call InventHelp today.
To get your free inventor's information, call 1-800-352-1609. That's 1-800-352-1609.
If you want to work until you keel over, have less of everything in retirement, or give back more of your hard-earned money to the stock market again, then just ignore me. But if you'd like to protect the money you save, receive a steady, predictable retirement income, and enjoy financial security for as long as you live, then listen to this. You can download a free report that reveals the wealth-building secrets Wall Street and the banks don't want you to know. You'll learn how you can get guaranteed growth, safety, and real prosperity without risking your money in the Wall Street casino, and how to get the money you need when you need it, simply by asking for it. This is the best way to have a 100% secure retirement, and know your money will last as long as you do. To learn more about this method, and to get your free report, go to 52security.com. That's the number 52security.com. 52security.com. Go to 52security.com.
Hurt or injured in a car accident? It can be hard to take the proper legal action after a car accident, but waiting can cost you more. The law requires car accident victims to assert claims promptly. You could lose out by simply waiting. Call 800-709-4667 right now to see what your claim could be worth when handled by a skilled attorney. With a lawyer fighting and speaking up for you, you could be entitled to a big cash award. Call 800-709-4667. That's 800-709-4667. Now it's fast and easy to connect with the legal help you need after your car accident. Call 800-709-4667. The call is free, but you need to act now before time runs out on your claim. You need a lawyer to fight for you, protect you, and get you the compensation you need and deserve. Time's wasting. Call 800-709-4667. That's 800-709-4667. Call now.
I considered suicide so I wouldn't put my family through all the pain.
Many of our warriors are returning home from the battlefield, only to face a new war as they struggle with devastating injuries. At Wounded Warrior Project, we understand. We're there to help.
Even though you think you're broken, you're not. It's the physical and the emotional healing that Wounded Warrior Project provides.
With a gift of just $19 a month, you can join Wounded Warrior Project. You'll help provide critically needed programs and services that rebuild lives.
Beautiful. There you go, buddy.
The ongoing needs of our wounded and their families will continue for many years to come. Now is the time to show your support. Call now or go online with your gift of just $19 a month, and we'll send you this Wounded Warrior Project blanket.
It made me feel that there's people out there that care about us.
After this event, we can finally maybe start to heal as a family and move forward.
We need your help. The families are hurting.
For many of our wounded heroes, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. That's why your gift of just $19 a month is so important. Please, call or go online right now.
You shouldn't have to pay to talk to the people closest to you, or the people who used to be. That's why Umbrella Wireless is proud to announce the new Friends, Family, and Recent Ex-Girlfriend plan. Now you'll get unlimited calls to your best buddy, your mom, or Cindy, once she realizes that you're seriously meant for each other and should stop screening your calls. Now the 30 minutes of agonizing silence where you're both afraid to hang up may drain your battery, but it won't drain your wallet. And you'll get unlimited calls just to check if she still cares enough to pick up, with no extra charges. With the Friends, Family, and Recent Ex-Girlfriend plan, your phone will automatically answer calls from your ex, because maybe she finally realizes that you're the only one for her and wants to get coffee sometime. Now, after lonely nights of looking at pictures of the road trip you took together when everything was great, your misspelled texts are absolutely free. The only thing you have to pay for is the booze. The Friends, Family, and Recent Ex-Girlfriend plan, because she wants you back. She just doesn't know it yet.
listening to The Rod Eccles Show.
Now, the man who actually created the iconic Coca-Cola ad back in 1971, his real name is Bill Backer, B-A-C-K-E-R. And he gave CNN an interview. Now, Bill Backer actually did work for the company that has the same name in Mad Men, McCann Erickson, Madison Avenue. Now, for those of you who don't know, Mad Men stood for Madison Avenue Advertising Men. And it was men, because it was mostly a man's world back in the 50s and 60s, so they were called Mad Men. Because they were doing a lot of innovative things, especially in the 60s. Advertising was reaching its peak. I mean, today it's not. It was glamorous back then. It's not so glamorous today. I mean, today it's a dog. Advertising and marketing is a dog-eat-dog, very down in the dirt, wrestle mudfest. You know, it really is. It's nowhere near the glamorous type of, intriguing type of business that it was back then. It's lost its glitz, and it's become something more of a real. I mean, you've got different levels. You've got your corporate giants the corporate giants in advertising were really, really built in the 50s and 60s. I mean, the giants of today, they basically they just absorbed a bunch of smaller firms and partnerships, and they just started bringing together all of these different businesses as their accounts, and they would fight. I mean, to get the business was vicious. Which is why I talk about Pete being so good, because he was able to win business that people really didn't think he was going to be able to get. And he was able to bring in bookable billing business from important clients of the day. Coca-Cola has always been a huge account. McCann Erickson had Coca-Cola. Bill Backer was a person who came up with this ad. And he came up with it, according to his interview with CNN, he came up with it totally differently than Don Draper came up with it. Now, he's basically saying, he's denying that Don Draper is him. In fact, he stopped watching Mad Men. Bill Backer did stop watching Mad Men, according to him, after the second season, because he said he got bored with it. It turned into a soap opera. Now, I do not see it turning into a soap opera. I did not. What he said that he didn't like about it is that, it seemed like the first season or two was really about the advertising game. And yeah, it was heavily about that. And then it started the characters began to be developed. So then it was more about the characters, not the ad agency. I thought that was a great transition. Remember 30-something back in the 80s? And I know some of you are thinking, geez, here he goes again with another TV. How does this have anything to do with politics? Hang with me, folks. I already made us a comparison at the end of the last segment. Hang with me. In the 80s, we had 30-something. Now, 30-something became the show for baby boomers of the day. A lot of people say it evolved into a wine fest. It was groundbreaking in the first season, and then as the characters developed and their backstories developed, and it turned more into a wine fest. I didn't get to do this when I was younger, or this, or you have to know I want to do this, and I'm not going to follow you here, and I don't know what to do. And to some extent, I watched it, and I can understand where some people see it as a wine, whining. Not the kind of wine you drink, but they whined. They moaned. They groaned. They complained a lot. in that program. They did. And, you can look back. But it was groundbreaking because it really, really reflected what that generation was going through. They thought that, they had so much going for them in the 60s and 70s, revolution, that they were going to have all of this success. And then they started to achieve some of that. They became the people that they despised in their youth. As middle-aged adults, they hit their 30s, they became the people that they despised in their youth. And then they began to complain about it. And understand, that is exactly what the baby boomers did. They became the people they despised. And then they complained and whined about it. And then they started, maybe if I didn't have to do all of this. And they went from, now follow me on this. They went from not, saying, do not trust anybody over 30, do not trust the government, to wanting big government. Understand? In the 80s, you had the baby boomer generation, the generation that fought to end the U.S. involvement in the Vietnam War. The generation that fought for free love and big hair and all this kind of stuff, not fancy clothes, but these crazy, wild colored clothing and everything, the psychedelic movement, drugs and everything else. And then they get into their 30s and their 40s in the 80s. And all of a sudden they realize they have just become everything that they were fighting against when they were teenagers and college students. And that's when all the whining began, because then they started thinking, well, it's not what I thought it was going to be, man. And then they started looking, well, maybe somebody else can do it for me then. So they go from a point of not trusting anybody over the age of 30 to being over 30 themselves, not trusting government to wanting big government to take care of them. And then it grows from there. From wanting big government, even though they're having all this success, under Ronald Reagan, who is trying to shrink big government, he's trying to shrink it down and give them the opportunity, allow them to have the opportunity to expand their own horizons, and they do throughout the 80s. But yet they still complain and whine about it. And then we move into the 90s and we get Bill Clinton in office and they're talking about, we need government for this and government for that. And then we get this idea of Hillary and Billary care, the precursor to Obamacare. And all of a sudden everybody says, whoa, wait a minute. No, maybe that's just too big. We don't want that. But yet and still we keep electing the type of people who want to do that. Because they were out of the whiny 80s. They were whining and complaining because they became the people that they did not want to be. And then when they became the people that they did not want to be, they looked, instead of looking into themselves like Don Draper did that last episode to find out who they really were, they looked to the external and said, okay, maybe somebody else needs to help me with who I want to be or who I should be. And they looked to government. And then they wanted to grow government to take care of just about every aspect of everybody's life because, hey, they kept this whole notion that people are saying, well, I'm doing okay, but my neighbor isn't doing so well, is a bunch of BS. It's all about them. You have to understand, I'm sorry if you're a baby boomer, I'm not one, but if you're a baby boomer, I'm going to lay it on the line. You are probably one of the most selfish members of one of the most selfish generations we've ever seen until the millennials. Plain and simple. It's all about you, the baby boomer. And you thought that you could take away some of your responsibility so you could have that free love and free thought and free wheeling feeling that you had back in the 60s and early 70s. And you thought that you could unload all of that responsibility by having big government do it for you. That's how we got here, folks. Just go back and look.